Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. This is, well, a Saturday night late tonight, but I'm doing the show for Sunday tomorrow, so this is a Sunday show. Anyway, let's talk about what's going on over in Ukraine right now. Let's start the charts right here. You know what? This is the gold and silver price right here. Right here, silver tonight is 23.92. And let's take a look at gold real quick. Gold's at 18.99. That's where they stopped on the weekend. They're going to start up again tomorrow, the price of them. Now, we got a lot of stuff going on in Ukraine. Let's take a look here. Russia holds nuclear drills amidst Western fears of imminent attack on the Ukraine. Ukraine president calls for new security guarantees for his country. They're shooting missiles off and everything. And also, I heard that there's actually people dying already. You know, they're doing what's it called? Bombardment. Can't think of the name of it. Shelling. Yeah, shelling. Anyway, what would happen to the price of gold and silver and cryptos and everything else, and what happens to the markets and everything if Ukraine gets into a conflict with Russia? We're going to discuss that. We're also going to take a look at the Dow Jones and the markets right here tonight. And we're looking at the S&P 500 is down. The Dow was down on Friday. The NASDAQ is down. Russell 2000 is down. Crude oil price is down. Seen a pattern here. This is what I warned you guys about. I told you this was coming. Got an awful lot of these other guys out there having a lot of hype, saying the market's going to go up and going to have a melt up. I wasn't calling for any melt ups. But I'm also not calling for the same thing. A lot of these guys are calling for a melt up and then a crash. I'm not calling for a crash either. What am I calling for? What would happen if Ukraine gets attacked or and there's a war starts over there? Well, to these prices. Well, these markets would really fall out of bed big time. Then we would have a crash. That's when we would have a crash. But not in the price of gold and silver. You got to remember something. Gold and silver are your premier safe haven assets. That's what they are. And they're also almost on the edge or on the verge of being in short supply. It's a gold price again at $18.99. A war with the Ukraine would drive gold prices up. It'd also drive up the price of crude. It would also drive up bond yields would fall. The reason why the bond yields would fall is they're going to buy into bonds. Bonds are a safe haven asset. They're going to buy into the yen. They're going to buy into the Swiss franc if they go to war. These assets, all material assets, all commodity assets are going to go up in price hugely if there's a war. It's as simple as that. And a war might be imminent. But even if a war doesn't happen, this week is not going to be bullish for markets. Not until we see the Fed turn around and do some impulse into the markets, get the markets going back up again. They're going to have to back away from these policies. The taper, they're going to have to back away from that and go back to quantitative easing. They're going to have to go back to their purchases of mortgage-backed securities and treasuries. They're going to have to backtrack on almost everything. And in fact, if they wait too long and they wait until the markets fall too far out of bed, they're going to have to do some serious stimulus to get it going again. You just can't let this economic engine stall and not expect damage to be done. And that's where we're going with all of this. Damage could be done very soon. This week, this is why I'm doing this show tonight. This week could see things really starting. We could see tremendous volatility in the markets this week. Even if we don't get any sort of a war or anything like that. So you guys got to watch out, because we're living in unprecedented times right now, and it just seems like one thing comes after another. We got a couple big storms coming up the eastern seaboard again. We just got over one, and just before that, we just got over another one, and another one, and another one. They just keep coming up the eastern seaboard and slamming into us here in Nova Scotia. I don't know how, guys. I don't know how I did it, but every storm, my lights never get smashed out. And there's been about 7 or 8 storms in a row, and each one's been like hurricane force. And my lights have flickered a few times, but I must have just been in the right spot, because most everybody else in the province that I live in has been sitting in the dark at one time or another, and it's cold out, and I got electric heat. And I'm very thankful, because winter's starting to, it always starts to taper off pretty soon here, and the temperature starts to moderate a little bit. It's been a bitter cold winter too. Temperatures like, I don't know, a lot of people are in Fahrenheit, but I mean, I'll talk Celsius here. And in Celsius terms, maybe -15 with a strong wind. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. Would that be about 10 degrees or something? 5, 10 degrees with a strong wind. You imagine what that's like, day after day after day, blowing snow and ice right now. It's just been a horrible winter here. But we're getting through it. We're getting through it together. Anyway, one of the things I've been focusing on over the last few weeks on my show, in the next 2 years or so, we got a financial Armageddon coming. Now, it might be a bit longer. Might happen next year. Might happen this year even. It's imminent. But I'm thinking about 2 years from now. A financial Armageddon is coming. That's what I'm going to call it, a financial Armageddon, because the fiat currencies are going to start to cease to function. And that sets a bunch of dominoes falling, which leads to terrible things happening. It's been the emphasis on my show now for a few weeks now. That's because it's the biggest story out there that nobody's covering, really, or very, very few people are covering, the severity of a financial Armageddon. People think finances, they think, oh, that couldn't cause that much trouble. The government should be able to fix it, some sort of a reset or something. I'm sorry, it just doesn't work like that. The dollar is rooted in every aspect of our lives. It's what runs the system. It's the gasoline that runs this engine of a system. And if the engine conks out, it stalls. Because it's not getting any gas, it stalls. And what does that mean? What does that look like in the real world? It looks like everything coming to a stop, basically. Supply lines, your power company, they're not going to, if this money ceases to function as money, I mean, how are the power companies going to continue to filter power to your house? How's the internet companies going to bring in internet service if their money isn't valueless? Money becomes valueless. And the next thing you know, you get rolling blackouts, This is a financial Armageddon, and the people, how are they going to react to that? I've tried to cover that in my show. They're not going to react good. Especially when they can't get their medications. This is a financial Armageddon coming in. I'm thinking 2 years out. But I'm giving you guys advance warning. This is going to be ugly when they make a transfer from the fiat currencies into something else. Because they have to in the end. Fiat currencies are going to stop functioning properly. They're going to be worth... How you're going to see this coming is, you're going to see the fiat currencies be worth less and less and less and less. Less purchasing power. It's going to take more and more fiat currency. In other words, your dollars, doesn't matter if you're Canada or the United States, it's going to take more and more dollars to buy the same thing. And it's going to go faster and faster and faster. And the people are going to panic, and they're going to try to spend it and spend it and spend it as fast as they get it. And in the end, it leads to a financial Armageddon. I don't know any other way of describing it. It's the best words to put it. Is it leads to problems. It leads to a set of dominoes falling and problems coming like you guys can't imagine in your wildest dreams, because everything runs on money. And there's no way out of this. This is a one-way street that the governments now are driving down, and they're not going to be able to turn around until they hit the end of the cul-de-sac. And then when they turn around, when they make that turnaround to go the other way and change this and fix it, it's going to be an enormous problem. Bigger, a more staggering problem than we've ever seen in history. But they're going to have to fix it in the end. And that's the reset. That's when they're going to reset everything. This is imminent. And this is not something that's... Some people will watch my show and they say, hey, Glenn, this is something that is new you're talking about. We've never heard of this before. It's been in the works for over 100 years. It really got going in 1971 when Nixon took us off the gold standard. He's the guy that set this in motion. He pulled the pin from the grenade. And it's all over at this point. And it's going to be just as shocking, bang, when it hits. It's going to hit fast because it's an exponential function. That means it's speeding up faster and faster toward the end. And we're all on this ride heading toward the end of the fiat currencies. It's the end of what we call money. And we're going to move into something new. And I'm not really talking about Bitcoin or cryptos or anything like that. I'm just saying that money by decree has reached the end of the line. Governments just can't come along and say this is money anymore. They won't be able to. Because they've mismanaged it to the point where confidence is starting to be lost. They've created over-leverage in the system to an unbelievable point, and they cannot deleverage the system. Going back to 2008 was when this really got going. They got to a point where the system was so leveraged they couldn't deleverage it in 2008 without the whole system cracking up. And what they did was, instead of, they bubbled it up. They leveraged it higher, much higher than it was in 2008. So if they couldn't deleverage it in 2008, you think they can deleverage it now? It's just going to keep going, guys, until it cracks. And I'm trying to time it, you know. I'll tell you kind of what it's like. If somebody had a hot water heater and they made the darn fool mistake of taking the check valve off of it, and somehow, say it was a gas hot water heater or something like that, that they couldn't switch it off and it was heating up. The guy says, she's gonna blow, get out of the house, you know? And they get out of the house and they're out there and nobody wants to go inside the house because the thing's building up pressure and they know it's gonna blow. And it might take 5 minutes, it might take 10 minutes, it might take 20 minutes. But then that thing that hot water tank is going to go bang with a terrible explosion. And any neighbors, maybe down the street or something, they're going to be like shocked. The guy might be walking out to his car and all of a sudden the windows on his house smash and an explosion hits. Well, it was not really unexpected, but it was unexpected for him because he wasn't paying attention to what was happening in his neighborhood. And that's the way most of these people out here are going to get caught unawares when this thing comes a couple years from now. Well, it's not like they haven't got plenty of warning. They're going to see their dollars buy less and less and less. That is your warning. And right now we're in the very early stages of it. For most people, it's almost impossible to see it. But maybe a year from now, it might be more possible much easier to see it. Then you're getting an awful lot closer. Every day that passes, we're getting closer to it. As we get closer, you're going to be able to see it more, especially if somebody points it out, like I'm doing right now. This has been your weekend show. Thank you for listening. You guys have a great weekend, and we'll catch you in the next show on Monday. Bye-bye.